Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Samantha Roberto, and I want to thank you for joining this conversation. We are a space of empowering women, and each week we normally feature a new guest and dive into her vulnerable, transitional story. But this week, it's just going to be me because every once in a while, I just want to get raw and real with you guys with what's going on in my life and behind the scenes of this entire project. And I have a special surprise, so stay tuned till the end for a special gift from me to you. But first, if you can please stop for a second and just make sure you go and click the subscribe button so that you set yourself up for your weekly dose of inspiration. So time for real talk. We are officially 2 weeks into January, into the new decade, and studies show that it's around this point that most people start to fall like flies off of their New Year's resolution. So I'm going to ask you, are you one of them? Come on, you got to be honest with yourself. You've got nothing else to lose, nobody else to prove this to. It's just you want to be real. So I thought I'd dedicate this episode to be a reminder to connect with what matters to you the most. And we're going to hone in on what could work for you and what has worked for me as an example. These past few months, I've constantly been asked, how are you doing this? How are you getting the courage to follow your heart? How are you going after your dreams with the podcast, with the retreat, with the branding, and so on? And most importantly, how can I do it too? So this week's episode is all about tuning into those goals that you're setting in your life and exactly how you can stay on track to get them done. I'm so excited to share my personal tips and tricks that will make 2020 the best year of your life. So let's get to it. Hello. And first off, I want to sincerely say thank you for taking the time to tune in and be here with me every single week. You have no idea how much I respect your time, and the fact that you're choosing to be here is such an honor. So this episode is dedicated to getting raw and real with you in what it has taken for me to get to this point of my journey, specifically how to navigate through going through uncomfortable periods of changes in life transitions from one thing to another. I get it. Life can be super overwhelming and confusing at times. But let me be the divine reminder that you need to remind you that you deserve to go after whatever it is that is calling you. So whatever intentions you've set, whether it's for this year, this month, this week, you can achieve them. You deserve to be happy and you deserve to find fulfillment. Listen to those whispers of your heart. Do you ever wonder and ask yourself, why is it so hard to change? You want all these amazing things. You have such good, pure intentions. So what's the deal? Why is it so difficult? If you ever find yourself saying, I can't because my parents made me do this, or my partner stopped me from doing that, or my boss isn't supportive for this, guess what, sis? I'm going to get raw and real with you right now. The truth is, anytime and every time you point a finger out, there's 3 pointing back at you. Hello, personal responsibility. Seriously, do it with me right now. Make a gun with your hands, point a finger out to whoever, and say, it's your fault. And then notice those 3 fingers pointing back at you and feel the energy of that towards you. To clarify, my objective is not to try to make you feel bad. I'm on your team. This is just such an important concept to get, that everything that is happening in your life right now, right here, right in this moment, as you listen to my voice, is because of you. Like I mentioned, I don't want you to feel bad about this. It's actually a very liberating thought, knowing that you have the control to change your life. The thing is so much of our lives, actually almost 95% of it, are run by our subconscious. The big difference I've noticed is that so many people aren't even aware of this, and they're running their day-to-day on automatic programming of society, of their parents, of teachers. We'll call this the you shoulds. You should go to school and get your education. You should get a good paying job. and work really, really hard at that good paying job to get a promotion and get a raise. You should get married in your 20s and start having kids. And essentially, you should have the white picket fence life. Then, lo and behold, we find ourselves doing all of the things we think we should, yet we get to a place in life where we're ticking off all of these boxes, yet there's something inside of us that feels empty, like something is missing. And never mind the added pressure of social media and comparison to like what is even real or how people are even achieving things. It's just there's a whole other layer of pressure that is added in our day and age. This can be totally frustrating, feeling like you're doing all of the things, yet you're never really getting anywhere. And I've spoken to a lot of people where it almost feels like they're an impostor. Like from the outside, everything looks picture perfect, but secretly on the inside, it's like you have no idea what's going on. And you know, when you're really raw and real with yourself, you're like, I'm just not happy. I just don't know why. And the more you ignore it and you try to push it down, the bigger that feeling is going to fight up and going to be screaming to be heard. Maybe some of you are experiencing this and it's coming up with anxiety or a feeling of pressure within you. The more women I speak to, the more I realize just how many people out there are feeling this exact way. The good thing, if you happen to be one of those women, amazing. You feel your inner guidance trying to speak to you. Now, how cool is that? And the honest question that you have to be with yourself is whether or not you're listening. And guess what? The more you give yourself permission to listen, the more clear, aligned, and confident you're going to start feeling. I know how uncomfortable this might feel to fully take on that personal responsibility because trust me, I've been there. The angst, the anxiety, the frustration, the uncertainty. I remember being at a point in my life a few years back where I was successful in my career, had houses, cars, relationships, quote unquote, everything that, you know, you should have. Yet I was thinking that honestly, I would trade it all in just for the sense of knowing that I was living my life in alignment with my true purpose calling. But to be honest, at that point, I had no clue what that even looked like. So what did I do? I took the jump. I immersed myself in as many life experiences as possible, invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, cold hard cash, and years of my time towards personal development just because I believed in it that much. Since then, I've traveled to over 50 countries just to see what else was out there, committed to countless workshops, courses, festivals, and retreats. And anytime I had the opportunity to put myself in a situation that made me feel really, really uncomfortable, I took it. I'm crazy, but I can tell you the amount of growth I experienced, it worked. And honestly, I'm living a totally different life now than what I was on track for 5 years ago when I had this realization. So essentially, through all of these years of like trial and error and experimenting on myself, I figured out how to make change that's gonna last. So my background's in real estate. I love real estate, okay? Everything about it. People love to talk about the markets, investing, and no matter where I went in the world on my travels, real estate was always relevant. So funny enough, and it's a true story, I was actually at one of the conferences that I went to, or actually anytime I went to different conferences, people are always so like, hi, I'm this, how are you? How are you? I'm good, how are you? What do you do? Like, you know, when you're in those conversations that are just so automatic and you're like not even really engaged, and it's just people are asking questions because it's the social norm of like what you should be asking. Anyways, the question of what do you do seriously bothered me. Like anytime I was at an event and someone would be like, what do you do? It like cringed my soul. if you can feel that. It was just, it was painful to answer. And it's so funny because by societal terms, what I did was completely relevant. What I did completely checked all of the boxes, and I was like extremely successful for the way I was living my life. You know, I was selling over 6 figures with real estate, taking about 7 months off each year, exploring all of the world, doing me, and like super curious about life and blah, 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 blah. But this question, oh my God, this question bothered me. So what I did is, and what I normally do is, journaling is a huge tool that I am such an advocate for. I feel like we can learn so much about ourselves through the art of self-inquiry. So I took it to my journaling practice. And if I were to look back at my journals from that period of my life, it was maybe about 2.5 years ago. I swear to God, every single entry would be like the same entry. Why is this question driving me crazy? Like, what is it that's triggering me about this? Why does it bother me? Like, why? And it took me about 2 months of journaling on that specifically every single day before I had the breakthrough moment where I'm like, oh my God, and bing, a light bulb went off. When people ask, what do you do? It's such a defining question about your life. And for me, it's like when people would ask me, what do you do? I do so many more things than just real estate. Real estate doesn't define me, and it just didn't feel right and sit right that that's what I do. So when I journaled more and I realized like that's why it bothered me, I started digging into what I actually did, and I realized what I love about real estate and what I actually do is I help people navigate through massive life transitions. And real estate was just my current vehicle, and I loved it, and I was really, really good at it. So whether it was a first-time home buyer excited about like the new opportunity and making like the biggest investment of their lives, and then like a couple days later totally freaking out because of buyer's remorse and being like, oh my God, I'm making the right decision. What am I doing? And having to like help navigate them off of the edge, whether it was an estate sale and someone just passed away and, a family was going through a very difficult time and they were grieving and they were letting go of the attachment to, a home that just holds so many memories, or whether it was full blown out war. As a realtor, essentially, I would figure out what my clients' goals were, energetically hold their hand, and then help them navigate through all of the uncomfortable emotions that would come up with really, really big changes so that they were making the best decisions for themselves from a place of source, which is essentially within them. So to tune into their own bodies to feel what was the right or wrong thing to do. Honestly, it was so much fun, and I think because I approached it this way and I saw it this way is the reason why I personally was so successful in it, because for me, it wasn't just a transaction. It was someone's life, and I understood that, and it was also energy. Like I really, really understood your environment being energy and the importance of whatever space you were going to let go of, whether you're selling or calling in, whether you're buying. It was all so important because that's essentially like setting yourself up for what you're going to call in the next phase of your life. So speaking of new phases, I want to loop this back around and touch on our New Year's resolutions and the new decade that we just entered. Let's loop it back there. So I want to share 3 major life-changing tips that have really, really helped me personally in navigating my own journey, especially through all of the transition that, I explained. So tip number 1, get a paper and pen and journal. Journaling and the art of self-inquiry, like I mentioned, is like one of the biggest tools I use on a daily. Yes, I do it every single day, and the amount I have learned about myself that I didn't even realize what was happening has been massive. Journaling has offered such a gift of clarity for me, and trust me, if you just start doing it, it will be the same. So life-changing tip number 2, do a self-audit. Really assess where you are in your life and the areas of your life: career, relationship, finances, health, spirituality. How are you feeling in each of those areas? And is there somewhere within them that you think you want to improve? And if so, what can you do to make those better? And my 3rd life-changing tip is finding an accountability partner. If you're at a point where you are serious and you are ready to make the changes that you want to make in your life, get a coach. Sure, you can have a family member or friend Or, I mean, in a perfect world, we would all be able to have ourselves an accountability partner and we would just do it. But this is reality, and let's get real. It's easy to say, often it is so challenging to do. And personally, for me, it wasn't until I swallowed my pride, because I used to be one of those people who are like, I can figure it all, I can do it all on my own, but swallowed my pride, asked for help, and invested in a coach that I really saw like leaps and bounds changes in my goals and going towards my mission. Having a container of support and guidance from someone who's been there, who understands the emotions of navigating through that space, and who can help show, like give you a roadmap of the direction you want to go, was such a game changer. Within a couple weeks, I just thought like the investment I had made in those containers were worth every single penny and like way more. So it's really, really funny because so many people have, openly talked to me because of my journey and be like, how have you made so many changes? How have you gone from real estate to traveling to doing all the courses that you're doing to moving to California to launching this podcast? And I've had people over the years who I met on airplanes or, in restaurants or wherever ask like, through a conversation, say like, hey, do you by chance do coaching? And it's so funny because coaching is actually like my secret career. It's like my secret, like lifelong calling. And I remember being in university, first year of university, so probably like 13 years ago at Western University in London, Ontario. And the joke within my house was like that I was a life coach. But back then, the industry was like just being birthed, sort of like it was very, very new. And I didn't even know what it looked like to like step into it, but I had that internal calling and that push to like, this is what you're supposed to do. Like crystal clear, this is what you're meant to do. But there was something inside of me that felt like, when I Googled it, I looked it up, it was so like unofficial and it wasn't an industry and it didn't really exist. And I had to stay in university because I was following all of those you shoulds. So I just instead like opted to take like psychology courses, and I went from economics and business to human resources because I love dealing with people. And then I got into real estate. Like the natural progression of my personal journey just makes perfect sense. And, being at this point now, looking back, I can connect all of the dots and realize like why I took the path that I did, why, I had a really, really difficult time in my early 20s. Like, honestly, the reason why I have a lot of insight that I do and sort of have the perspective of positivity in the way I look at it is because my late teens, early 20s were super challenging for a number of reasons. I dealt with concussions in soccer and an assault that was really, really difficult, and I didn't have the support to go through it. So after I had gone through all of that, I built myself up with on societal terms and, got my degree, like I said, got my real estate license, and I built myself up that way until I realized when I was 27 and I was in my car driving that life wasn't fun, that I questioned it and then walked away from that to go travel and explore and sort of uncover more of like what I know to believe and what I in my heart believe is true. So in real estate, I loved helping people navigate from where they were to where they wanted to go. And the truth is that life is impermanent. Life is constantly changing, even when it feels like it's not. So I'm really excited to make a big announcement for those of you that are ready and serious about making big changes in your life, who know that there is more out there for you, but you're just not really sure of the steps to take. Well, these past few months, I have been working with one-to-one clients and helping being that person to navigate them and hold them accountable to get there. And the transformations that I have been witnessing have been huge. So if you're ready to take on full responsibility of whatever subconscious stories might be playing over and over and over again and showing up as patterns in your life, and you're just like at that point where you're done, let me be your girl. I have got you, and I will coach you through them. So this is me stepping into my fullness. And I am just like so grateful for all of your support. I am so grateful for this platform. I cannot believe we are on episode 20. Like, this is wild, guys. Listen, if you've got something that you've been thinking about doing, start. Let this be the message that you need. Just start. You don't have to know all of the answers. You don't have to know how to get from here to there. Just go, and the universe will deal you the cards as you're supposed to get them. For me, the podcast, the travel retreats, bringing people to Morocco, and coaching is just like such an aligned higher calling. So yeah, I'm just excited. And I really want this to be a testament to all of you ladies out there, and gents, if you're listening, I love you guys. But let this be a testament that you deserve to go after the things that you want in life. You deserve to give it a shot, and you deserve to be happy. If you are hearing this message, and if you are called to dig into the inner stuff that, might be coming up for you, send me a DM, let me know, hey, I listened to your episode. I need help. And what we can do is I would love to gift you a clarity session, a 1 full hour, one-on-one deep dive into what's going on and help you get clarity, feel a little bit more aligned, and then feel confident in the direction that you're heading for this decade. So, you know what? The time is now, and this is your year. Honest to God, I believe in you because I had to believe in myself, and I know the power that when you believe in you too, the lives that you can change. So you've been waiting long enough, and I'm going to remind you one last time that you deserve to be living the life that you've been dreaming about. The more you peel back the subconscious layers that aren't serving you, the more you're going to show up as your true, authentic, beautiful self, and then watch your world completely change. This is what Gandhi was talking about when he meant be the change you wish to see in the world. It all starts with you owning it and then deciding that you are ready to shift. And it's so funny because as you start to do this type of deep dive energetic work, all of a sudden you'll notice like the relationships in your life, like the fights with your partner, the tension with your parents, your friends who are just like sometimes get on your nerves. All of a sudden, everything else shifts and things just start to flow with ease, grace, and abundance. It's such a big difference. If you know anybody in your life who would benefit from hearing this episode, go ahead and share it with them, or even just share it to your social network because you don't know who might need to hear this message. And if you are hearing this message because one of your friends or family members shared it with you, don't forget to thank them for thinking about you and passing this on. So on this note, I am super, super, super excited for you to reach out and let me know that you need help. I am sending you so much love, and I'm grateful and honored to serve you in whatever capacity that I can. Next week, we're going to be back with our regular schedule, and we'll bring on another inspiring woman to share her vulnerable story. So until then, keep being you, be beautiful.